Did you just throw your phone?
No, I did not throw the phone.
Hey everyone, thanks for tuning in to another episode of Beg Pardon. As always, I'm your host Anthony, joined by Carlos, and welcome to the show. So today we have a special water cooler edition of our episode. We're going to be talking about the vice presidential debate that, as of this recording, happened last night. How are you, Carlos?
I am good. As some of you who watch will notice, I shaved off the beard. It was a therapeutic thing. I didn't have a breakdown, in case anyone was worried. But I did want to shave it as a therapeutic.
Prove it. Take off the hat. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
Exactly. Well, I also cut my hair, so surprise! It's Britney. But I went ahead and did that. So yeah, baby face now.
Yeah, for a bit. You're growing it back out, you said, yeah?
I'm growing it back out, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't like the baby face version.
Yeah. So last night, and we both watched it.
Yeah.
What are your initial thoughts? What were your initial thoughts in the moment? And then I'll get to what your thoughts were, after you were able to marinate in it overnight.
I knew you were going to say that. Initial thoughts, like literally initial. I was like, wow, they're both being really respectful. Like Pence is, giving her time, not interrupting. Mm-hmm. They're keeping the time mark. That very quickly dissipated in terms of I felt like Pence got more time, and I felt like he didn't get the shutdown that Kamala Harris got. Like, Susan Page shut her down once, almost immediately, when she was like, we've already went over those points, ma'am.
Yeah, it was really uncomfortable.
Yeah, whereas Pence was like, I would like to go back to a previous question, actually, and talk about Iran, when she was talking about Indiana. And I was like, what the hell does that do with anything? And she wasn't like, we're past that point, sir. She just let him go.
I mean, hell, he could have been like, Susan, I'm going to need you to shut up for a minute.
She'd be like, that's your call, Vice President.
Yeah.
And then, also what bothered me was she never once messed up his title. She was never once like, Vice President Pence, but she did that Kamala Harris. She was like, Kamala, if I may, Senator Harris. And then Kamala turned it. She was like, you can call me Kamala.
Yeah, she played it off well.
Yeah. But I think that was like a subtle nod to I really don't share the same respect for you as I do Pence over there with his shattered eyeball.
Yeah, there's a lot stirring on the internet about that, and The Fly. But yeah, yeah. So whenever I was watching it, I thought that she missed a lot of opportunities. I kept thinking that throughout it. I mean, listen, the number one thing I think that a lot of Americans are concerned about right now is obviously coronavirus. Like, it literally has infiltrated the White House, and they have a cluster of the virus just teeming through the White House. And, she had an amazing opportunity to take to task the head of the task force, Mike Pence. They literally had plexiglass dividers between them. She didn't bring any of it up. She didn't bring up that it was just rampaging through the White House, that they had the Rose Garden event with no social distancing, no mask virtually at all. She didn't bring any of that up. So, I was surprised that she didn't. I think that you heard from her campaign or the Biden-Harris ticket that, hey, we're ahead. And all we needed to do was stay course. We didn't want to try to punch the gas anymore because we don't want to change the trajectory of the election. We just wanted to keep going in its current path. And I don't know if I agree with that. Hillary Clinton at the same time was leading by 8 points. Biden's leading by 11. We saw what happened.
Yeah, I think, and this is gonna sound real messed up, but I think if it was another male, they wouldn't have had any fear of put your foot on the gas and keep it going. I think that Kamala Harris was kind of one step back already. Because if she would have took him to task, people would have just said, "Oh, look, there she is, an angry woman." And I think she had a stacked deck against her in that aspect, where she couldn't fight the same way Pence did. I mean, Pence was a snake charmer. He spun almost everything to the point where you were like, I mean, damn, maybe the greatest trick the devil ever pulled was making people think he didn't exist. Like, this man spun everything. And I think that it was smart for her not to go to task right now with the White House, because people are still going to be like, well, you're going to attack a sick man? Our president is sick, damn
he's
it.
our
like,
president, yeah.
Yep. So it was smart that she did it.
How dare you?
What I think she should have capitalized on, though, and we talked about it during the debate, was when Pence was saying, like, you know, she would be alive today if Donald Trump was president and her family. What Kamala should have said was, that's a what-if scenario, but what we do know is 210,000 Americans are dead because of you. Yeah. That would have, I think, been the why don't you just shut up, man, quote of the night. Like, that would have been the nail in the coffin. So I think, you know, that she was cautious of what she said, because unfortunately she had to be. I mean, you look at Twitter today, he called her a monster. Yeah. She didn't even say anything like that crazy.
Yeah, Trump called her a monster.
Yeah. So, you know, I think that kind of weighed in on her. But like you said, I think they both had very different goals. I think Pence's goal was, I need to
stop the bleeding.
Yep. Yeah. He was like, I need to spin everything as much as I can. I need to sprinkle in some truth into this lie of, you know, when he said, you know, Kamala Harris and Joe Biden, they both do they both support abortions up to basically the moment of birth. That's not entirely true. Or when he was like,
he didn't even say basically. He said partial birth abortions. He said those words.
I didn't even hear you say it. I didn't even hear that part. But, you know, that's not entirely true. Like, he took enough of the truth so that when it hit your ears, you were like, I'm on the train with you. Mm-hmm. And I think that's something that Trump didn't do, and he's not good at, which is why Mike Pence is the perfect VP for him.
Yeah, Trump's not a politician. He's not.
No.
This was
like I told you.
This was like going back to 2012. Watching this last night, it was like going back to 2012.
Yeah.
And I didn't know I wanted to be in 2012 until I was there. For real, I didn't know I wanted to be there.
You're like, it wasn't a great year.
Yeah, it wasn't a great year. It wasn't vintage. But yeah. I sat there and I was like, this is how a political debate should be. I mean, in terms of the dialogue, in terms of the dialogue back and forth, the substance had much to be desired, as they're like, no one's really putting to task either of them whenever they would. I mean, yes, there were a couple major questions, specifically the ones about stacking the Supreme Court that Senator Harris did not address, and that she continued to not address. Biden has not addressed it. They're going to try not to address this for the duration of the campaign. But then, like you said, I mean, we had Mike Pence, who seemingly did not answer a single question the entire night, but was able to manipulate and articulate his way through, like, just weave through these questions. So that way, at the end of it, you were like, what? Like, what was the question? You weren't even thinking about the question. You're like, wow. I mean,
yep.
I think that if his job was to stop the bleeding and be stationary, have the campaign be stationary, I think he did his job. I do. Yeah. I don't think that it's going to continue. Or, I mean, for those mere hours. Because then Donald Trump, literally less than 12 hours later, refused to do the debate with Joe Biden because it's going to be virtual.
Correct.
So now that's all anyone is talking about. Yeah. The man teeming with the virus, who now says that he wants to hold rallies as early as today, is refusing to do it. So now they're asking, well, we'll do it if you change the dates. So they want it like one as late as like October 29th.
Yeah, which at that point, I mean,
and Joe Biden's like, no, like we're not changing a calendar just because it better suit. Like, you could do the debate virtually, but of course, Trump doesn't want to, because his wheelhouse is not that, explicitly not that. He needs to be on the stage, to be able to do the theatrics and intimidate in his way. Like, he needs to be able to do that. He's not going to be able to do that from like his bedroom at the White House, being like, "Fuck you, Joe," and then they're just going to mute his mic. Like, they're just going to shut it off. Yeah, he's worried about that. Yeah, he's worried about that, and you know, I don't know. Should they do the debate even? I don't know. You know, if you have a president who is still sick, should it even happen? I don't know. But, you know, if he's well enough, I guess, to... And I think that was the Biden campaign's thing. We're not going to attack this president while he's down until he starts tweeting his craziness again after he left Walter Reed. And as soon as he did, they were right back at it. And that was smart, because they were like, what? They just look like animals if they're attacking him while he's literally in a hospital bed.
Yeah.
So,
I think the other interesting thing, though, was the end of the debate yet again. When the two spouses came up, one had a mask, one did not. And I think, again, that's an extremely telling thing of all of this. You are the head of the coronavirus task force, sir. Your spouse isn't even wearing a mask. Your boss doesn't want to wear a mask. I think that was very telling.
You could argue, you know, she was wearing a mask during the debate. Karen Pence was. She was wearing a mask during the debate. I mean, they reside in the same household. Would it have mattered that she didn't wear a mask next to him? Probably not. But to your point, I think, you know, what they're trying to project too is not to be afraid of this virus. So Karen, I mean, hell, even if she wanted to wear it, he was like, anytime you're around me, you got to take that shit off. Because they're trying to, for real, because they're trying to project like this. Similarly, I mean, does Kamala Harris's husband really need to wear a mask around his wife? Probably not. Because they live together. I'm assuming that they sleep in the same quarters. So you wouldn't need it, but they're, to their credit, because it's working right now, they're saying this virus is serious. We're going to make sure that every outing that we have, everything that we do, we are looking the part of it being serious.
Yep.
Just like the Trump campaign's like, we're looking like this doesn't matter. I mean, hell, Trump said that he was immune to it this morning. How's he know? There's no evidence to that. There's no scientific evidence to that at all. So, I mean, hell, who knows? We want to know if you guys are going to end up, if you guys watched the debate, what you guys thought of it. If you guys like our coverage of these, if not, tell us that too. You know, we try to just shovel out what we think that you guys will enjoy. But we will continue following up with the next presidential debate. I don't know if it's going to happen at this point, but we will be there virtually as well, alongside everyone else watching it, and we'll give our commentary on it shortly thereafter. But thank you guys so much, as always, for tuning in to this water cooler edition of Beg Pardon.
And if you like this video, go ahead and subscribe so you can follow up with our next debate videos. If, like we said, the debate happens, you'll see the coverage right after. Maybe we'll be the moderators at this point. Who knows? We can't do any worse, I'll tell you that, folks. But that will do it for us on this week's edition of Water Cooler. As always, he's been Anthony. I've been Carl. So remember, register to vote and get out there and vote. Till next time.